There's no politics here today. This is just to address issues that are going on. Please keep your comments or questions to about 3 minutes. Stay respectful and polite. If your question or comment has been answered already, please refrain from asking again so that way we can get as many questions as people talk to as we possibly can. One person at a time. We are having a hard ending at 11 a.m. At 11 a.m., we're going to shut this down. The fire department is on a call today. They're going to have to come back. They got things to do and get their trucks back inside. We have to waste some more time than we have to. If we get done sooner, we will get done sooner. Okay. My name's Commissioner Steve Hollifield, the President of the Board. We have Rita Beatty here. We have Commissioner Gamarosa here. Commissioner Haney's here. Mike Schultz is here from the Assessor's Office. If I missed anybody, put your hand up. This is here to address the issues of the rumors that have been floating around that an entire stream of data centers is going on Highway 35. Nowhere in LaPorte County yet has anyone applied for one. Now, there are a lot of people here who have been getting letters and offers of buying their land from Crescent Real Estate Company. We have no idea what that is. I can guess what I think it is. But there's no one has came forward to LaPorte County to look at getting a permit to build a data center yet. The stance of the county commissioners is this. If one goes in, we want it in an industrial area. Currently, our zoning ordinance requires that if there is one, it follows the warehouse rules of our zoning ordinances, which means they can only be permitted in M1 or M2. Currently, right now within the county, that is KOP. That's the only area. Now, it's an industrial park. Now, I'm going to say probably some very unhappy things. The issues with data centers are this. They bring an awful lot of tax base to the community. And after SDA 1 was finalized last year, the county needs tax base. But we also want to make sure if it's done correctly so it disrupts none of you, or very little at both. Like I said, that's why we consider KOP to be a good area for it. Over there in St. Joe County, some of you have probably seen that mess over there on Highway 2. That farmland, over 40 years, would produce approximately $12 million. And I got these statistics from St. Joe County government. $12 million in taxes they can pay over 40 years. Those data centers in that area where they're now are approximately paying $30 million a year in taxes towards the coffers of the county. Now, you all want services. Everybody wants services. You even call 911. You want the fire truck. You want the ambulance. You want the police and everything else. Those require money. It's getting harder and harder to fund those processes without some kind of extra increase in tax base. Development, the days of Alice Chalmers coming here and providing 500 jobs and $10 million infrastructure, those jobs are gone, folks. They're never coming back. I hate to be the one to say that, but things are changing in society. These technology jobs are what's coming in now. They don't provide a lot of jobs, but they're providing tax base. Now, with that said, the cons of these projects is depending on what kind of water usage they use for cooling, depending on how much water they use. The energy. Right now, you're all getting your NIPSCO bills. The data centers have not hit your NIPSCO bill yet. They have not hit them yet. Because in LaPorte County NIPSCO, there is no data center up and running. So they're not being hit. Now in the future, that's possible. There was a bill that was passed last year, House Bill 1007, that requires all infrastructure improvements made to handle, they call them mega users, your data centers, your steel mills, major projects. 80% of that must be bore by the new business. Now, talking to a couple state reps, so far the big companies are eating 100% of that. I would like to see them put the law at 100%, because if they find a loophole, they will. I have been speaking with Mike Turner. He's a supervisor in Loudoun County, Virginia. That's the same equivalent as a commissioner here. Nowhere in the world has more data centers than they do. 200 in operation right now, 117 on the books coming, and multiple every day looking for permits to do that. He has sent us some information. Now, if you want to write this link down, there's a white paper he's proposed, but he's been studying this for years. And he's also got some ideas that I passed on to the Plan Commission and the BZA. It is www, I'll spell it out, loudon/ASHBURN. And if you want to get after the meeting, give me a piece of paper, write it down. I'll be here after a while. Some communities have given major tax breaks. What we're proposing is if, there's been no non-disclosure agreement signed with anybody yet. We've not signed them, Joe, you've not, Connie has not. I don't believe in them. I don't believe the other commissioners do either. If we have a project like this and we get one to propose to KOP, I want what's called a pilot, payment in lieu of taxes, which means you offer up 80 to 90% of what they would pay upfront cash instead of giving them a tax break. That way we have the money here available to use. At the same time, they got skin in the game. If they invest $100 million, that means they're going to play nice with us. So that's part of the process of different counties becoming, and Loudoun County has an awful lot of rules and regulations for them. Some of the bills at the State House this year, I spent a week down there, it's my 11th year going. Some of the bills that were proposed to help us, that got shot down, House Bill 1043 would have required these businesses to get a water usage permit from the DNR. As a farmer, when you irrigate, you've got to report your water usage. Currently, without that bill, they don't have to report how much water you use. House Bill 1189, which was sponsored by our local rep Novak, they wanted a labor agreement with local workers that they would be first in line to do these projects. That got shot down. Come on. Can you hear me? Or? Okay. I'll try. I'm usually a loudspeaker, but Senate Bill 79, this was a big one. It was going to require that the IURC put together a study group that every quarter these businesses had to come forward and say, this is how much electric we use, this is our projection for the next quarter. Same thing with water. It got shot down. They did not even get a hearing on these bills. As I spoke about Loudoun County, Virginia, currently LaPorte County, the only place these can be placed, they have to follow the warehouse rules of our zoning ordinances, M1 or M2. Currently, the only place is KOP. If they try and get one in the county, in another spot, they'll have to go through a zoning change and get a special exception between the Planning Commission and the BZA, and there'll be multiple public hearings for that. But again, no one has come forward. When people talk about the two going in Microsoft and Royal Road, those are in the city of Michigan City and LaPorte. Nothing is in the county yet. Now, which brings to the next thing you're all not going to like to hear. You've been getting rumors about annexation. The city of LaPorte, and any city, by state statute, allows them to annex property if the people want it. Well, I got news for most of you. If someone comes in here and offers you 100 times more than your property's worth, you're probably going to do it. And that's called, not hostile, but
voluntary.
Voluntary, thank you, sir. And if you want us to take one step further to go this, you can go to iga.in.gov and look up the ICC codes for annexation. It is IC 36-4-3-5. There's not a lot of help, if any, the county can do to help you. Once they start the annexation process, if the people within the area want it, the county can't step in to stop you. There's nothing we can do. The state wants this. And so, if you want to see changes to these, I'll finish up here in a second, we'll go with questions then. You can go to that same website. Michael Hatchett is your state senator from Senate District 8. You can send him an email and tell him what you think about these processes, what you would like to see them for next session. Session's over by Friday, the 27th, they're done, they're out of here. So it's too late for this year. So Michael Hatchett, Senator 8. Rodney Cole is Senate District number 4. Our two representatives from this area are Randy Novak from House District 9 and Jim Pressel from House District 20. You can send them emails. They will get them downstate. But like I said, it's too late to do anything now, but maybe start the process and start about the next session beginning in January of next year. I hope I've addressed as much as I can the basics for this. We'll open up to questions. If anyone has a question, I will ask you best ability. Yes, we will.
I just want to piggyback. just a little bit on what Steve brought up, and I just kind of want to put a little information out there because of what everybody is seeing on social media. I understand you guys don't believe everything that's on there, but there was some information put on there that this was a plan commission organized event. It is not. Mr. Commissioner Steve has put this out there for you guys to all be informed of what is going on. So I just want to let you know that it's not a plan commission question and answer. It's not a workshop for a plan commission. We will be meeting Tuesday evening at the LaPorte County Complex at 6 p.m. And I know he's already said there will be no public comment because, once again, it's only discussion on the ordinance. So we're trying to review the ordinance, go over everything that's been submitted to us for us to be able to take the time and consider what is on there, whether it needs to be adopted to move forward or a public hearing, which you guys will be given notice. That's why today's isn't considered a workshop, because you have to have notice. So you'll have at least 10 days notice. You can go on the county website, you can see the agenda, you can see even there, you can see the ordinance on there also. So please don't believe everything you read on social media, because there's a lot of, as Steve said, there's going to be no politics here today, but there's a lot of push and shove going on there. Give Commissioner Howard a call if you have any questions. He's more than welcome to give you a cell phone number, answer anything you have. Contact the planning commission, contact the commissioners, everyone out there involved. We're here to help and listen for you. So thank you for your time.
Yeah, like I said, Facebook is not media. I don't care what people think it is. Part of the reason you are seeing data centers is because of all the political memes and advertised stuff like that. I defer to my daughters for technology because I have a hard time working my phone half the time. But they tell me that as long as we're going to have these computers, we're going to have data centers in the future. If you pay your bill online or on phone, you're using AI. So I'll open up for questions now, please. Dude, yes, sir.
I got to respond to that because we just posting on Facebook. Number one, where I derived this was a workshop, bro.
Can you speak out? It's not.
Where I derived, I'll explain. The reason I derived this as a workshop, the planning commission, is because that's the way it reads in the minutes that are approved from October. And where you take back the decimal levels and that stuff from the last meeting we had in October and November. And I think it's termed a workshop in that. So that's where I derived that this is a workshop, because I thought that this was intended to take the issues that the community had and be a voice for the community that would lead back to the planning commission and the hopes that there would be an ordinance. Now, in my discussion with Mike Paul, who's been a long-standing member of the planning commission and also building commissioner, the BZA does not require, if they go there, does not require them to go before the planning commission. It just requires one vote from a five-member committee of the BZA. And what my contention is, and why there is so much push and shove online, is because we need protections in the county on farmland. We need an ordinance. We have Lake County's ordinance. I mean, I'm pretty sure half of the room here got through school by copy, and we can do that in county government too. So I know I did. And so basically, we can copy that ordinance, bring that BZA piece over, and then we have protection for the county that, you know, all it is a list of things that have to be done, impact study. And it's just a bunch of hurdles, but it's all questions that we should have answers to before we move forward on anything, because we're rushing into where angel spirits tread with this stuff. I mean, like you said, you're correct. Our utility costs right now are not related to anything going online. Once they do, Senate Bill 72 says NIPSCO can go back to the IURC, and because in the language of 72 it says they shall get an increase every time commodities rise. Well, once you go online and the demand for coal and natural gas go up, surely the commodities are going to rise. And when that happens, they're going to pass that cost impact onto us. What's it going to do to our cost of living? Not to mention, what's it going to do to our quality of life? I mean, I understand when you talk about pilot. I know what you're talking about with pilot and the front end gains out of the front, but what are the back end gains? What is the end game for these data centers? What's the good outcome? Because I don't see any. Once the union labor that comes in from all across the country comes in the building over a couple of years and then disperses, then what jobs do we have? Because it's going to cause recession in the local economy and inflation with the utility costs. Quality of life goes down because we don't know what the water usage is going to look like. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. The plan commission, Wednesday or Tuesday night's meeting, we have put together draft ordinance, and as I stated earlier, the county is protected under current zoning laws. We took the Lake County and we used that as a template. We are discussing that Tuesday to see about amendments and changes to that. If we get those drafted and approved through the plan commission, we will then have a public hearing on that. So I hope that answers your question. Any other one? Yes, sir.
How can we guarantee that they are forcing closed loop systems on their pools?
We can put that into our ordinance and part of the negotiation agreement up front. Loudoun County has done that. You can make them do that.
You might want to repeat the question so people can hear.
You want to know if we enforce to do closed loop? Yes, it's been done. That's been done.
And what are the penalties if they don't?
We have to put them in there and find out. If they don't get their permit. If they choose not to follow the rules that they signed at the beginning for negotiations, they won't
But
follow.
they're already there and they're committing all these.
They'll be stopped. My court will log an issue fines against them and shut them down.
But they have all this money. Fines
Yeah.
don't matter to them.
Yeah.
They don't care about fines.
Then we just shut them down. We won't work no more. Other businesses that we stopped and shut down. So, yes, ma'am.
What about town ability? City's been talking about data centers.
That's the annexation part. Annexation cannot be stopped by the county. It's a state law. I read that code there. It's very, very one-sided to the city. My opinion is this: annexation goes back to the 1930s. The Rhineland was the date land by a German dictator that took annexation to win. So they get what they want. Once they get outside and they annex into the city, our hands are tied. There's nothing we can do because now it falls under the city rules and regulations, not the county any longer. Yes, sir.
I got a bunch.
Well, just give you one right now. That way we get as many as we can.
Is anybody here interested in having a data center in their backyard?
No.
No! Show of hands, who wants one? That's the start.
Move it to the last laugh.
I don't have a question for you, but I just have information.
Right.
And my name's Ed Downs, I live in 500 South. So, you know, I moved there in 1999. My whole family was in this industry, from the phone companies to the cable companies, 25 years, and so on. And what we saw in a 10-story building, when my father worked in one of the central office, go down to 4 stories, 3 stories, the size of a shed, the size of a phone in your hand. It's been the same process all the way through. Once they build these, potentially 5 things they're calling for over here, in cooperation or in comparison between Iowa and, I don't know if you saw that the LaPorte School Corporation people met with Microsoft about how good this is going to be for the kids and jobs. In comparison, they had 500 jobs with 25 data centers, and if you chat GPT, we don't want to use AI, right? But if you chat GPT, the prognosis for here, it's 200 jobs after it's all said and done. But eventually those buildings will go down to the size of your phone over a matter of 10 years. Then we got abandoned buildings like we have on KOP that they could be using. And now, also, I'm sorry I'm taking up time, but PFAs. Anyone know what PFAs are? Forever chemicals?
Forever chemicals.
Does anybody know about the nitrates in the soil that are already currently there, that all this wastewater will reconstitute that into the air, into our water, and cause cancer? That's a fact.
Yep.
Okay? And it binds to the plastics as well.
Yep.
It makes it 10 times worth more. And just in the air, you're driving by, you go into the store, it doesn't even matter. That's all gonna be, whether it's in KOP or over here, that's all gonna be there, right? How about the truck traffic, the infrastructure? They wanna build these things, let them pay for the roads and build it out in the middle of nowhere, not us pay for the roads and the truck traffic and the dangers of our kids and our family going to the store and have to deal with truck drivers, maybe licensed, maybe not licensed. Once they're in, there ain't shit you can do about it. They're gonna do what they wanna do. Are you gonna volunteer to go out there and make sure they're doing their job? Is the EPA gonna do it? Is our government gonna do it? Like E said right there, they shot all this stuff down and just give them free lane to do whatever they want.
Where's that at?
Pardon me?
What did I say? They shot them down, getting free?
No, you were talking about how all these systems would be put in place so that we would know about these things,
Yep.
and so that all.
Our state legislature, yes.
Yeah, and it would, make them stay within a boundary, right, of rules.
Yep.
You said all that stuff got shot down.
That's why you need to put the heat to your state representative, your state senator, to tell them you want better rules and regulations.
Because that means that they don't care. They just want the money.
They want these things here. My belief is Senate enacted Bill 1 was to force the local governments to accept these things because they're shrinking the tax base. Most you're gonna get about $65 off your property tax rate. That's the average.
My life.
I'm sorry. And real quick, I like my well water. I drink it right out of the ground for 25 years, and we've had no problem. It's clean, we love it. Okay?
So I drink well water also.
I don't want water that has chlorine in it that is abrasive to your arteries.
Fluoride.
Okay? Fluoride. We like our wells, that's why we moved here. I grew up on the Steeles in Chicago,
Yes, sir.
and I moved out here to get away from this crap.
Okay, you have your first, yes,
So
sir.
here's my comment on this. I've been out here coming on 26 years now, okay? I moved out here for a reason, because it's quiet, right? We like the fields, we like the peace, calm and everything. All you have to do is drive past New Car Lot, see the mess that they made there. Supposedly, it was gonna be so many buildings, and all of a sudden, so many more, and so many more. It's like a perpetual wheel, you can't stop it. And just like Ken says, you cannot stop them. Now, there's other things besides the water and stuff like that. There's a noise thing involved in there too. You may not hear it audibly, but you will feel it. When you got fans like that running on these coolers and stuff like that, it's gonna put a subharmonic down on the ground. You'll feel it. You'll hear it. It'll drive you crazy, okay? And it won't stop. Take a look at the mess they've created over there. Folks, that's what we're gonna have out there. All I can say is anybody that voted for this, anybody who helped initiate this, that person needs to be out of office for good. Never again allowed to ever. I don't care who they are, I don't care what party they are.
As I said,
It needs to
sir,
come.
if they annex that in the city, the county cannot stop it.
The city people that annexed
Then you have to
whatever
go
need to be
after them.
gone as well,
You
okay?
have to tell your neighbors when they get the annexation.
But right now, we're
agreement.
talking, right here, right now, we're talking about county. This is a county, thing, not a city
You're not
thing right
proposing
now.
any.
This right here, folks will tell you.
It's not being proposed for anything yet.
But how
Then
is
why are
that
we
sheet
here?
already made up?
What's that?
How is that sheet already made
What
up?
sheet?
Showing the data centers out there.
Where's that sheet at?
Everything we're hearing, this is already been
Come out
approved.
on Facebook?
That's a mock-up.
Out here.
That's a mock-up.
That's a mock-up.
Okay.
Once again, it's social media ignorance is what it is.
Everything we're hearing, this has been approved already.
No, it has not.
Land has been
No,
sold
it has
out
not.
there.
It's not.
I know
It
people
has
that have
not.
sold their land. Don't tell me
They
that.
sold their land, they can sell their land to anybody they want to, but there is no data center coming to LaPorte County.
We need to ensure that.
Then
You
you
stand
need
up
to
there and you're
speak up
saying
at
this, you
meetings.
need to be able to ensure
So,
this with us.
Next
That's why
question.
we're here.
Yes, ma'am.
I know at the last meeting, we talked about candidates who were
Yes.
before, like the one who won cheap property owners have been one.
Yes.
I'd like you to explain that again, just so we
Okay.
kind of understand it.
There's two ways.
All the property owners there.
There's two ways for the annexation. 51% of the owners or 75% of the assessed valuation. Which means, suppose there's $100 million in that area. If 51% of the landowners say no, it stops. But if 75% of that $100 million, which is large tracts of land, that's what they're going after. They're going after large tracts of farmland because it's got a higher assessed valuation. And that makes it easier for them to get. That's your state law right there, 36-4-3-5. You can look it up on IGA.in. We cannot stop that. If your neighbors decide to go for the annexation and sell. How many of you got letters from Cressy right now want to purchase your property? None of you here?
Yeah, some do.
Some, yeah. So, okay, so you already know they're offering you large tracts of money for that, sums of money for that.
Yeah.
Probably more than you ever thought you'd get to that round. Some are saying no, some are saying yes. It's your right to sell your land. But you also gotta remember, it's not your right, if it's my right to do what I want with my land, then I want to put in a dead animal waste transfer station in the middle of a subdivision. I want to go downtown LaPorte, I want to put a nuclear waste facility up where the Possibly, Mr. Staples.
Can you clarify for us the role of the commissioners to the degree that for now these can only go in KIP? Do the commissioners have a inherent veto power?
Yes, we can stop it.
Because you guys oversee.
They'll have to go before the permit process, then they'll come before the commission for approval. We can say no to it. That's all, but I mean, there is a step-by-step process.
I mean, the county.
There's nothing being hidden. There is no major corruption before Carolina I'm talking about. I've been there 14 months. Ain't nobody giving that over past year. So, yes, they're in the back.
You keep talking about unifying as a community and a group here, but we're not. It only takes 2 voting cycles, and people downstate can be gone.
And meanwhile, in that time,
Every one of us right here in this building needs to make sure that every incumbent is gone in 2 cycles.
not every incumbent is for these. That's
It
what
don't matter what way you sway.
I guarantee that we
Prove
as
the
a
point.
local group
Yes, you can.
have to vote out every school board member, every
They're not fighting
commissioner,
against it.
or every city mayor that has voted for these, and then after 2 cycles, you got a clean slate.
There you go. Yes, you can. You do have that
We
power.
will too.
I'm saying that we don't have any say-so in
I see Jim Cuss at Barton, should have
It's not.
his ass.
No, what I'm saying is this. They are not passing bills helping us. Now, that's your right to vote them out, correct.
Exactly, and that's what we need to get out in the
Then
community,
get out there, everybody. That's what we're here
Vote them
for.
out.
We should have a vote now.
Vote them out
You
now.
can't vote them out now
We
because
should have a vote now.
In May, we can vote
It don't matter,
every
Doug.
single
It's a
incumbent that's
citizen.
not in, that's in the primary.
Play your game.
And have somebody up against them.
Yeah, then
But
put
we
some
know they're sitting right here in this room, in May, they're gone.
That's right, you have that right to do that. But until that happens, we are stuck with the cards we're playing. Okay?
So this is
So until then, Mayor Derby can do annexation under all he wants, until we change the annexation laws.
And that takes going downstate.
Exactly, I go down states. I've been going down for 11 years.
I know,
And
you
talk
keep
to
saying your
them.
hands are tied, but you need to tell them the way this then.
Then vote them out. Vote them out, but until then, we have to follow the rules. We are doing that right now.
So let's just write an ordinance
We have
today.
it
We
right
got
now.
6 weeks. We got 6 weeks. It only takes 6 weeks to get an ordinance in.
We're talking about that Tuesday night, if anybody pays attention to what's going on the website.
One last question.
Sure.
Tell us about NIPSCO and GENCO out in KIP.
There's nothing out there right now going on.
Do they own land?
NIPSCO owns a couple substations out there.
Is there any talks or plans about putting in a small nuclear?
Not that I have heard.
Okay. That clears that question.
Yes. They have several substations. We need power in KLP. It's a very simple process. We need
Gotta
power.
have industry.
We gotta have an industry. But the industry that you guys want is not coming back to the shores of America. It's not. So you wanna sit out there and have it do nothing and then not have any jobs in this local community? That's your options. And then you're gonna start figuring out how many, what services do you wanna do now? If you go to a council meeting, you will see the council. They are struggling to figure out how to pay the bills. We're $2.3 million alone just this year. We're gonna shrink down. Next year it's about 2.7. The following year it's about $3 million. And it's not gonna get any better. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that gentleman back there was talking about voting people out of office, which is a good thing. However, I didn't realize it was this long ago, but in July of '25, President Trump signed an executive order accelerating federal permitting of data center infrastructure. The order designed to rapidly expand the construction of AI data centers on federal and non-federal lands by streamlining environmental reviews, permitting, and regulatory oversight.
Yes, your federal government wants AI.
So the whole thing is with him, he says, oh, we've got to beat China at this. Well, what exactly are we beating China on so that we can spy just as well on American people like China does all of their people? We're going to put more cameras everywhere for facial recognition. These data centers are just going to up that power, I believe, and all the fiber optic underground, that's all part of it.
I don't know anything about it, because I'm not
It's
technology.
so
person.
gross. Yeah,
I
I'm
can't
not
see
either.
that door.
I'm
Yeah.
guessing.
So, but I know our
That's what it
federal
looks
government, our federal government wants these things. Yes?
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I've seen other counties do is work with their zoning regulations. And some counties have instituted a data center zoning category. Like Lake County, I believe, has done that. Has there been a lot
That's
of
what our ordinance is
traction?
about.
That's
That's
going
what
to
our
be in
ordinance
the
is about. Tuesday
ordinance.
night, we're gonna discuss that. And then as soon as we get done with that, we're gonna bounce right back and get solar under control.
Right, because that's the only way that you can control it. If it's light or heavy industrial already, they can come in
Yep.
without having to go before
Yeah.
the committee. Yep.
So that one too. I'll get you, yes, sir. Only get way around for the first question.
Let me ask you a question. In your view, is there a good middle ground for this to happen? County needs money, we need jobs. Is there a good middle ground in your view for this to happen with correct legislation?
I will honestly, openly answer that. It'll probably make a lot of people upset. Yes, there is. You have to regulate them as what Loudoun County has done. You're not going to stop them when you have the big powers from the federal government and the state that want to push these. That's why you have to regulate them, and they can be regulated and placed in proper areas, away from people, away from schools, stuff like that. Yeah, it can be done. Yes, ma'am.
Going back to the annexing, I'm really interested in all this. Has Tom Dermody approached the county about annexing that entire strip?
No, because there was another bill downstate that did not get passed that required all cities to notify the county commissioners before they sent out annexation notices. That bill got shot down and not get a hearing. These bills are being shot down and they're also being not heard in committee or no. House Bill 1002 is a perfect example. I sat through 3 sessions and they did 20 amendments to that. 20 of them. House 1002 was going to help restore, make municipal a little more affordable for people. 20 amendments were offered up for that. To replace sales tax, lower that, provide a different program for them to help the people. All 20 amendments were shot down along party lines. Always remember, party lines. You have a supermajority down in the state of Indiana. About 70% of it is Republicans, the other 30%, excuse me, are Democrats. Now, I know Democrats are wonderful people. I know Republicans are wonderful people. And I know people on both sides. You've got one person in particular that hates home rule, hates local control. That is Ed Sullivan over Porter County. He's been there for 22 years. He offers up bills every year to take away local control. So if you only win Porter County, why should you run against him? He needs to go away. He's been there too long. But so far, no one's put up against him. Yes?
So we're talking about the possible creation of jobs within our community, which I do agree, we do need a lot of jobs in this community. I mean, American Signature is going to be closing down, it's going to be losing a lot of people.
American what?
American Signature, they're going
Oh,
to.
I heard that one yet.
Yes, they are closing their doors as it is a nationwide shutdown of their facilities. Now, these centers do create a lot of temporary jobs when they're being built, a year or two at most. And then they maybe have a few security guards, a few high-level engineers to keep everything running, and some janitors. That's it. This isn't 200 jobs. This is like 15 to 20 at most.
Correct.
Yes.
jobs. Yes.
So what would be the 15-year net benefit for our community?
I don't have those numbers in front of me.
And that's
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody has it in front of them because they're too young. Yes, sir.
How come NIPSCO just got an abatement for 10 years, man?
Where at?
For our taxes, our paying taxes, abatement for 10 years.
I don't know anything about that as far as where.
Yeah,
Not in LaPorte, they're not building anything in LaPorte right now.
that's what I heard.
No, they haven't gotten away with
They're
it.
crying about not having enough money.
It's at the training center on Severs Road.
Oh, for the improvements they're doing? Oh, that's what they're improving
City
that.
gave them an abatement.
Okay. The city gave them that. The county did not. Yes, sir.
Hey, you just answered that guy's question over there.
Which one's that?
I can't really see all of everybody, but he asked about a middle ground.
Oh, I didn't answer.
Data centers coming in, possible little benefits, some negatives,
Yes.
whatnot. If you do that, Loudoun County's already done that.
Yep.
They've already regulated them.
Yep.
They've already had them under,
Yep.
strict guidance and can't do this and can't do that. Why are they called Data Center Alley? If you got them under regulation, how are they data center alley with hundreds more coming?
They're coming under their rules. They're following the rules. They had Porter, they had one company out of Kentucky that said no. The rest of them are coming, abiding by the rules and coughing up the money.
Well, if we regulate them, like you said, there's some benefit if you regulate them. There's no benefit if you regulate them, because they'll just come in with their money and influence and do what they want. So you can regulate all day long, and they're going to keep coming.
It's just like a subdivision. Subdivision goes in. There's rules that are set up for them. They have to follow them.
What rules, though?
As far as what, for the data centers? Come Tuesday night, you'll see some of the things we're putting on. Some of the things that Loudoun County has done, they want to make sure our comprehensive plan addresses these issues. Never allow data centers to build by right, which means even though they have the right to build in a zoned area, you add more restrictions to them on top of that. Which just because M1 says they can, we will add more restrictions to them that they'll have to follow. Otherwise, there'll be permits they can't pull. There's 15 different things here, and like I said, ignore that website I posted up earlier, so you can see all 15 of those different things that they recommend they do in other tons of states across the whole country. So, and that's why some of the falsehoods out there. Someone sent me a picture of a data center out west somewhere causing cancer. You go and you go through that area on the newspaper, local newspapers, they failed to mention that that data center in that town was built next to an abandoned lead mine. I don't know about you guys, but lead's not good. So they only give you what they want to see, and that's the problem using for Facebook for information. Yes, ma'am.
We can't stop the annexing.
Nope.
We understand that at the state level. So being upset about that does nothing for us. Can we pass ordinance that completely ban them in the county?
Ban
All I
what?
heard, ban data centers. Why can't we ban, can we
They
do
possibly
ordinance to
can
ban
do.
it?
Possibly
All I
can.
heard was, we want money and we're gonna do ordinances.
Okay,
So
if
the
you-
ordinances really are just tapping the way for them to
This is
come.
what happens when you ban them. I talked to Jesse Bohannon from Marshall County, he's the commissioner. They just put a moratorium and ban on them. They're in the process now, they're being prepared to be sued. These people are like a spoiled little child in the checkout line. They want their candy bar. Mommy says no, they throw a fit. The solar companies were in the process of trying to sue the county because they didn't get their way. They didn't get to destroy tens of thousands of acres and turn us into what Alaska and Stark County is, or what they've done up there northeast of New Carlisle. And I'm telling everybody that gets these things, the lawyers are going to be the ones that get rich. And unfortunately, if we ban them, I agree with you. We should try that. I'm tempted. But we will be sued. Guess where your money, where the lawyer's money comes from? Out of your pockets for all that. So, yes, sir.
Thanks, Steve. One of the things to address, one or two of the things that I've heard so far, why it's important to get an ordinance passed, is quickly pop. I'm Joe Haney, County Commissioner, for those of you who don't know me. And why I was pushing as well for the Plan Commission to get through an ordinance quickly. There's several reasons why. Number one, under the current rules, other data centers would have to go to industrial areas. There still aren't the restrictions that we need in place to have a full thing. So one of the things this gentleman over here mentioned earlier was the roads. Getting a solid ordinance in place that addresses and requires road use agreement means that then after it goes through the BZA and gets approved, if it gets approved, it has to come before the commissioners have to approve the road use agreement. That's yet another stop on there to be able to try and put some chains and guardrails around it. Another issue that we mentioned before, we talked about five-person BZA, being able to put as much as we can on the Plan Commission side helps give guidelines and rules to the BZA. So keep in mind, the Plan Commission is a 9-member board. The BZA is only 5 people. So then it's 3 out of 5 people are making the rules, just like when it finally comes down to commissioners, it's 2 out of 3 people. The more guardrails you can put in place up front out of the gate, the better it is. So I think that's one of the most important things to put out there is that we need to make sure that we get all these different guardrails in place up front, require them to be, require special exemptions, get their permits through the BZA ahead of time, all these different steps to make sure that it's one after another so that if one comes in, every single possible base is covered. That's why, you've all heard me say, if we get one in, if everything's done right, KIP would likely be the best place for it. But there are so many different things that have to fall in line before I would be willing to support something like that. Because like, as we've said, there are so many different communities that have done things wrong, be it from not having the right closed loop water systems, from giving away the store with tax abatements. You look at the tale of two cities, look at what kind of happened here in LaPorte County or in this one of the cities in LaPorte County. You look in Hobart. Hobart, they're getting $45 million upfront cash in hand when the first shovel hits the ground. Then by the end of the time, by the time the facility's up and running, you're going to wind up getting a total of over $100 million direct upfront cash to the city of Hobart. I haven't looked at all of what they've done in Hobart, but for a city with a $29 million annual operating budget, getting over $100 million cash in hand over a couple of years, that's transformative for that county or for that community, and to be able to get some improvements done. At the same time, if you're destroying your water table, you're destroying your quality of life and everything else, what's the point of having cash in hand if your community's around? So that's why it's so amazing to see all of you here today and concerned. Definitely make sure to have your voices heard as meetings continue to come up, but this is fantastic, and I'm really happy to see everybody here this morning. Thank you.
We were going to go to the forum the other night, and we were asked by a farm community member, what about the loss of farmland? I've been lying on farm. I hate to see destruction of farmland. I hate it. But there are a couple of things that fall in line with that. One, if you want jobs, jobs require buildings, factories, business, and everything else. Unfortunately, the easiest ground to build on is farmland if they find a willing seller. Two, once you do that, you create jobs. You also are going to need places for houses because those people are going to have jobs, they're going to have families, they're going to be families. You're going to need houses. Back in the 80s, when farming was actually really tough, not like it is now, no, it's not now. But back then, you all remember the sprawl that happened in LaPorte County. 2-acre lots, boom, 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 all the road fronts. We realize now that is wrong. They should not have done it that way. So when you bring those houses in, then you've got people who have families, they have children. Then you're going to need bigger schools. You're going to need schools built. You're going to need stores built. You're going to need restaurants. Everybody's going to want businesses around them. So it's a double-edged sword, no matter how you look at it. Again, if you have a willing buyer, farmland is going to be the easiest thing to clear. I don't believe in using it for anything like other than farmland. But those are options we're having. So, as Mr. Haney put out, we can impose restrictions, and yes, we do have ways to make them follow those rules. Yes, ma'am.
This is timely what you said. I'd like to thank this beautiful young lady for what she had to say, because it is true that when, they promise you, lots of jobs. I have traveled coast to coast my entire life, and I will tell you, I have seen towns and cities where it's everybody's going to have a job, it's going to bring in a lot of jobs, and then you get more restaurants, and you get more people building homes. And you go through in less than 10 years, and it's a ghost town. Because like this young woman said, it's going to come down to 12, 15 lards. What's going to happen to those families who are going to move into these homes that are going to be built? And I've worked in communities. I used to sell homes in Illinois. That's what happened. Everybody's base price of a home is $379,000. And when the jobs move out, they go bankrupt. Is that what we want for our community?
Yeah.
I'm a big health person. Natural health, natural healing. I'm all about that. And I am concerned about our health, but I'm also concerned, what about our children? This is a community that I moved into because it was a multi-generational community, city, county, where people were born here, they live here, they raise their kids, and so on and so on. That's going to go away if this happens.
My statement about industry was not towards data centers. They do create very few jobs after construction phases, though. I'll admit to that. But we're talking about other industries that come forward. So that's how you said it. Yes, sir.
So with the state and the federal government supporting data centers, and maybe this is for the lawyer in the room, but what's the teeth that an ordinance is going to have that supposedly restricts them more than, say, the state's restricting and the federal government? Is it going to be enough, or if it goes to court, that, you know, that local government passes something with all these regulations, is that actually gonna stop them?
The way I remember from government class, it was a long, long time ago. I had a great teacher for government class, Mr. Ken Morrow. You have the federal level, state and local. Every lower government can pass more restrictive laws than the one above them. They can't pass less restrictive. So if we pass more restrictive laws, the courts are supposed to back them up. But again, if you have representatives like Ed Sullivan who want to take away your home rule and your home rights, you've got to get rid of them. You've got to reach out to representatives. You send them emails, phone calls. They're here, ours are here every single weekend, and the majority of the year, the rest of the year, they'll reach out to you. Mr. Kressel, Mr. Novak, Mr. Bahacek, and Mr. Pohl. Every time I call them or send them an email, they respond back and listen. So do that. Yes.
So my issue is long-term effects too. So moving here in 1999, I grew up at the steel mills in Chicago. Just like the airports, the steel mills, the industry was built there. Like you said, we need more homes, more schools. People build around there. They want to be closer to work. They want to be closer to all these things. Well, guess what? I live 3 blocks away from the largest cancer cluster in the United States because of the steel mills. Nobody knew that when they bought their houses. Nobody. But they still moved there. You can't yell at the steel mill for what they didn't know. You can't yell at the airports for what they didn't know. People are mad about the noise that they built around them because you don't know the long-term effects. Just like we don't know the long-term effects to these data centers, okay? And we already know, as stated before, factual things about PFAS and heavy metals, contaminations, the nitrates that stir up. Who's gonna wanna move here? Knowing that those things exist and build a house so that their kids can drink water and get cancer.
Then come to the plan commission meeting and we hold our public hearing. Come and that public hearing, Tuesday's night's meeting is just for the board to discuss it. Then once we have the ordinance put in place, there will be public hearings for you to come and speak in the complex.
Okay.
We understand, sir, that data centers are in need.
Yes.
We understand they're in need in the future, right? But we don't know what that future entails because there's not enough study on it.
Well, in the future, okay, here's a perfect example, and I'm agreeing for partly with you. Are all of you aware that the buildings in KOC are covered in asbestos siding?
Yes.
Okay, so asbestos used to be good for us. I can remember as a kid, you see cigarette commercials on TV of pregnant women smoking. Cigarettes used to be good for us, until we found out after the fact. That's why if we slow this process down, we'll be able to find out what's going on. St. Joe County is a mess over there.
So put in a moratorium for a year.
Give me the votes, find the votes to do it. Find the votes to do it, I'll bring it up.
You know, and then people bring up the fact that, well, everyone uses AI, you're on this and that's the future. And I understand that is the future. It's also gonna replace a lot of issues here.
Replace jobs.
Part of our problem is we try to get out of the industrialized nation, go to computer generation, and our education system couldn't keep up with technology. That went from a 10-story building down to a phone. And that's why we failed, and that's why we're going back to the industrial age. We're bringing jobs back here, welders, all these, yeah, we are.
When's the last time you saw a major manufacturer come here?
Well, I'm not saying LaPorte, but we're trying to do that overall as the United States because we failed in our education system to keep up with the new technology.
The phones we have in our hands now have more technology in them than when man landed on the moon in July '69. That's right. As he said, it's getting smaller and smaller. Yes, sir.
I just want to follow up real quick on, we talked about home rule and what Jeremy had mentioned, your question, I think probably what you were getting at was how our county level restrictions can supersede those of the state. So Steve was correct that, you know, as they come down the line, our requirements here at the county level have to match or be at least at the same level as the state. Well, I think what you were probably touching on was House Bill 1333. I know a lot of you heard me talk about it. That would have stripped away a lot of home rule, and specifically toward data centers and some of these other processing facilities, would have allowed them to be dropped on any farmland that was considered subprime, which is a significant portion of LaPorte County. And Commissioner Hollifield was right on when he mentioned Representative Soliday being one of the ones we either sponsors or co-sponsors. Unfortunately, we've seen the same thing, the same co-sponsoring happening from Representative Jim Pressel as well. with 1333, which would have stripped totally our control, and they could have dropped data centers on agricultural land throughout the county without any input or oversight from us. The good news is the Senate has killed that bill for now. Hopefully it doesn't come back. Like we said, it was co-authored by Ed Soliday and Jim Pressel. We can't allow these things to happen at the state level. Just like the state complains they're unhappy about federal mandates, here at our county level, at our municipality, we want, all of us here in this room care about our community. We want to be the ones who decide what happens here in LaPorte County. And having these things like House Bill 1333, we can't have that. We have to put an end to that type of stuff and make sure that our legislators know that that is not acceptable. We are LaPorte County. We deserve to drive what happens here in LaPorte County. And as of right now, we have that ability, which is why we need to get these ordinances passed. And hopefully if something comes back up again where they try another 1333 next year, we're able to stop it.
The numbers show drastically. There was a meeting of the BZA back in January, December about deep white wastewater well injection. I'll give you a second, sir. There's about 4 of us that spoke at the first hearing on that. It was tabled and continued on. The room was packed. I see a lot of you that are here were at that meeting also. We shot that down 5-0. Now, whether or not by law they can come back in a year and try it again, I don't think they will. So again, the BZA used its rules and stopped it from going in, just like the Plan Commission used its rules and stopped it. The ordinance, a good ordinance is way. I've heard stories in the last commission meeting about passing a bad ordinance just to get it done books. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. You pass a bad ordinance and stuck with that ordinance for a long time. But I can tell you, I'm not a lawyer, but I can guarantee a lawyer will look at that ordinance and find every single loophole they can to go around it. So we need to do this on time and do it right. Yes.
Yeah, how come there's an interest of conflict on the power going to these data centers and it's only NIPSCO? Why can't it be somebody else? Because that interferes with us.
Okay. In the state of Indiana, we have a regulated utility grid. If you want to go and have 10 power companies, then you're going to think of the mess you have out here on the road then. The reason it's regulated, Texas is non-regulated. Look at the mess they have down there. California, I believe, is semi-regulated, non-regulated. They're constantly having brownouts. The reason it's regulated is that way one company can invest in the infrastructure. Illinois is regulated as well. That way you don't have 10 poles for every 100 feet alongside the road. And then the wires crisscrossing, falling on each other, and shutting out everybody. In LaPorte County, you've got REMC, which takes care of part of South County. Where I live over there in Fish Lake, Mill Creek area, we have REMC south of me, we have NIPSCO just down the road from me, and I'm with AEP. AEP's territory goes east from here. Also, your power that's produced here does not stay here. The grid system, the MISO grid system, there's MISO, which is the Midwest, you have PJM, which is east of us towards the West Coast, or East Coast, and you've got stuff, there's 5 or 6 different grids across here. Power is put onto that grid, and then NIPSCO agrees, AEP, REMC, whatever, and then they come back and say, oh gee, at 3 o'clock, we're starting to lose power. They go to the grid, they purchase that power. As they talk about commodities again. I've dealt commodities my whole life. Corn, beans, wheat, hay, cattle, all that. They're all commodities. Everything that's purchased is a commodity. Electric has become a commodity. So, the greater the demand, the more it costs. I was scheduled to speak Tuesday at the IURC about the GenCo thing. That's been postponed now till April. My part of my statement was going to be this to these people at the IURC. You continually grant. They're allowed to have 9.75% profit margin. That's by state statute. There's power coming up. You continually grant them increases in their rates, but you have never held their feet to the fire to make them increase power generation capacity. They think the solar is junk. It's only, but the only reason it's there, like wind, the only reason it's there is because of the federal tax credit. I call them carpet baggage. Just like after the Civil War, the Reconstructionists went down there and had federal money backing them up to take advantage of the poor South. They're coming now to our state and taking advantage of that. These data centers are here because of 3 main reasons. 3. Along the
the government should supply the power to them then instead of NIPSCO. That's a conflict of interest.
Why would it be a conflict?
They broke up the baby belts for the same reason for monopoly.
There's Ronald Reagan did that.
Right.
But again, you want to have 10 different power companies in one area. And then
No,
everything-
just have the government have, if they want these so
You want to give
bad,
the government more
they
control?
should supply the power to them, not NIPSCO.
The government doesn't get, trust me, if you had the government in charge of your power system, the lights would be off right now.
But you have 3 different cable companies here because they passed SPC.
Well, they can
Yeah.
put like a nuclear.
That's completely different things, they're not a
The
commodity.
states on the
It's
line.
possible. So, now,
Something like that.
when they purchase that off the grid, okay, the 3 main reasons they are here. Along the toll road, we have what's called east-west, it's a major fiber optic line, okay, a major line. We have technology here. 2, if you look at all the high-tension towers that crisscross the 4 counties, we have electric here. We are blessed with an abundant water supply. We're the #1 county in the state of Indiana for irrigation crops, especially crops, because we have that water. Now, on our side also, we have what's called the Great Lakes Compact. That's all 5 Great Lakes. They are on our side. I'm on the Indiana Steering Committee for the Water Alliance. They are watching these things too because they don't want to see the water system go. And they have authority to stop some of the water because we are sitting on top of the Lake Michigan Aquifer. You go a little off the KLP, you're in Kankakee Aquifer. That's what we're saying, Joe Conn. That was Kankakee Aquifer. That was Kankakee Grand Kankakee Market, turn of the century. Well, last century. Yes, dude.
All right, a couple things. Controlled growth, what we just saw was a board with Microsoft dictating to define property. That's not controlled growth. It's basically created their own industrial park that the city has to embrace, and so do we. And what we're looking for out of an ordinance is to limit and control growth. Say, okay, if you want to put one in that out there at KIP, that's fine. Upgrade the electrical, probably get some legislation to go in there. Boom. Okay, we got some jobs. There's the number. But the ordinance itself on farmland protects the farmland, and that's the key. And Steve, all due respect, I know you're talking with this guy from Loudoun County that has the most in the country. Are you talking to the guy that has the least in the country? That's my question, because that's what we want, is as few of these as possible, not the most. And so,
That's not what I said.
and one more thing.
They have got their ordinance.
If LaPorte City, next year's an election year. If LaPorte City can break that majority up there and people run for city council, run for mayor, this annexation past the borders of LaPorte City stops. We need some people running. We need some people to break
Okay,
through.
that becomes political.
Yeah.
So, again, we cannot stop the annexation. And anything they did up there, that was the old bar farm. As long as I can remember, that was the bar farm as a little kid. One of the biggest farm families in the county. It's now 2 generations later after Bob Barr and his wife created that. Things are slowing down in that culture. They annex themselves in. And the next round there, you have the bars. You've got CL Rose, that corporation. As a kid, that was a very strong beef farm. They're no longer, no one wants to farm anymore. So they chose to do the annexation. You've got a couple other landowners out there that have sold their ground, or in the process of selling their ground. You can't stop them, and then if they annex that ground in, there's nothing we can do about it, and then they follow the city rules. We don't get to vote in city elections, at all. Just like the city people get to vote in some of the county, but not all. So we can't influence the city, which is fine. If you've got someone that wants to run against city government, go for it. I started running, and God forbid, look what happened I got. So, as I've been telling you folks, as I told you, Gary, a couple of meetings ago, I started coming to these meetings 25, almost 30 years ago because some things I did not like. And now I got involved. You've got to get involved. Come to meetings, speak to that public comment. Yeah. Okay, hang on.
My name is John Moresco. My wife George and I own some property that adjoin the Fury Farm. Looking out across all of you people here this morning, I think you're pretty much the way my wife and I are and work. We worked our heart out for what we have accomplished. Excuse my French, nobody gave us a damn thing. All right. That being said, I applaud you and your compadres for being here today.
Thank you.
And my comments are not to be personal. I hope you take that in the right light. Okay. But I feel personally like county government has let me down. Okay. And that is, the only information that I have gleaned out of this, or the vast majority of it, is word of mouth and gossip.
That's wrong.
That's the information that I have gotten, okay? Word of mouth and gossip. I don't follow AI. I don't sit all day and watch the computer. Okay, I do rely on the news agencies. And I don't mean, I won't mention some words. Okay. But I'm old school, and that's what I rely on, all right?
I still read newspaper.
Okay, newspaper. Yeah, there are still some credible newspapers out there too. Okay, but I feel like I've been let down because there has not, in my opinion, there has not been a lot of solid information about what's been going on. All right, so I rely on word of mouth and gossip. But that is fact. Okay, it is fact. The gossip about the land acquisition south of LaPorte, along the corridor, along 35, that has turned out to be fact.
That's why we have this meeting being addressed.
Exactly. But I say too little, too late, because now that it's all done, or a vast majority of it is done. Okay. A lot of you people have, if you've sold out, you've taken a wheelbarrow to take all your money to the bank. You're thinking, man, I'm living on high on the hog, right? The truth is that what you have been paid is a mere pittance to what these people, when they come in here, are going to realize from the development that's going to take on. It's a mere pittance. Okay. Now then, had the taxpayers and the landowners knew what was going on in the first place, maybe we could have all been treated, you could have all been treated equally, not against one another, which was the whole purpose of no information being out there. That's my take on things, okay? All right? If you keep your mouth shut, you get a lot done under the table instead of putting it all on top of the table.
You're not done under the table.
I'm not accusing you. I'm not accusing you when I said that, okay? Well, what I'm saying is lack of information, all right? That whole area has been acquired, basically. Now then, the people who are left out of there, for whatever reason, our land values, once they build all of that there, could go right in the toilet. All of our hard work is right down the tubes. It's right down the tubes. Now, the people who are developing that, they live in New York City or Chicago or someplace like that, they can give a rat's ass about it. You know? That's true. All right? That's where I'm coming from. And what I'm gleaning, and I think what you're gleaning from this whole meeting, is that everybody is upset. What I want to be treated, I want to be treated as equally as the people who are coming in here who want to take over the place. Okay? This is my home. Treat me equally. Give me the information that I need to know. Okay? And the information that I need to know, please, it may be totally against what you think, but you and the rest of your people represent us.
Correct. When I first, several of you I talked to over the last couple months, when you started getting these letters about purchase property. I talked to several of you. You called me, I contacted you when I called you back. So when this started happening, you started investigating, checking. But again, if it doesn't happen till it actually happens and money exchanges hands, everything will be hearsay.
But
and
one other thing, so you obviously, whether you like to accept it or not, you obviously, the commissioners here in town in LaPorte and what's going on here, common sense, you have been circumvented, okay? You have been circumvented as to what, because there are people, whether it's our state government or what, somebody knows what's happening here for sure, okay? Somebody knows. That's just common sense. So as a result, you are being circumvented. There is a plan there that you are not being privy to.
Yes, I agree with you.
I'd like to piggyback on what you said.
Can't hear you.
I have to piggyback on what this gentleman said, Commissioner Grammarosa, Connie Grammarosa. You know, I started a committee
for these data centers. We didn't want them here. We wanted to be able to regulate where they went. Unfortunately, we can't stop people from selling their properties. We have our economic development person here. We have exactly what Steve said right at the beginning of the meeting. No companies that have come to us. Are we being circumvented? Absolutely. Because unfortunately, when people own property, they have the right to sell their property to whoever they want. That company can have a dream, and they can have their dreams to bring in whatever companies, whatever kinds of services that they want. You know, I've sat here, I'm listening to this meeting. I understand that there can be repercussions later on down the line. We don't know what these companies are going to leave behind. But look at our history. Look at when we were a manufacturing industry here in this area. What did they do? Brownfields. And the brownfields that we have to deal with right now. I mean, we don't know what they're going to bring. I started the committee, we shut the committee down, and we went ahead and we sent it directly to the Plan Commission so that we could get something in place. You know, we've had a lot of different issues coming through the county. We are always trying to work through them, trying to figure out what we can do, how we can stop it. But a lot of our rules and regulations are handed down to us by the state. And we're trying to work around our state laws and trying to work with either BZA, and I understand BZA, there's a lot of you that are not happy with it. If we could rewrite it and we could change it, we would, but we can't. Right now, the best that we have is the Plan Commission. It's my understanding they have worked really, really hard at coming up with a plan, and hopefully they can quickly discuss everything that they have for that, and then get it passed, get something passed. But I just want to restate that under no circumstances right now currently do we have anybody that is interested in bringing in a data center. Hopefully we can get this ordinance written, but as far as the farmers who have already sold their property, that is something that they should have notified their neighbors, and they should have told their neighbors, well, we're gonna sell out and we're gonna go ahead and this is in hopes that we can get this data center. But just because they sold their property does not mean that it's gonna happen. And I think that there's a lot of false information out there.
Okay, first, then why did they meet with the LaPorte Corporation, School Corporation yesterday, Microsoft, for data center?
Microsoft's original deal they had with City of LaPorte. They were to give this LaPorte Community School Corporation money. The city worked that deal out with them because the Microsoft is going in the city.
Now, you said before that social media is bad, right? You said social media is wrong?
If it's misinformation, yes.
Okay, but it brings to light that there is a tension, right? If there was no social media on this issue, there'd be 10 people here.
Yeah.
Okay? There would be 10 people here.
We had advertised on the radio.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm grateful for what you've done. I'm just saying from my perspective, there'd be 10 people there because they're trying to put this under the rug like they did in Michigan City. They don't want you to know about it.
We are telling you what's going on.
I understand that. So thank God for social media because it's gathered these people here today. So I'm sorry, but I disagree with you.
Can you explain why it can't be amended?
What amended?
We don't even have an ordinance. We have never dealt with data centers. This is something that just recently popped up. So I wish that we had foresight and knew that data centers were going to be coming to our area, but there's nothing for us to amend because we don't have anything actually on the books.
Currently, they're classified.
Here's the reality. You know what? We talk about the annexation. If we could hurry up and designate a location for them, there would be no more annexation. If we can go ahead and get in the county and say, this is where we're going to put it. We're going to put it in KIP, and it's not going to go anywhere but KIP, then that would stop the annexation.
You said that back in October.
That's still flexible.
It's been 4 months. No, the data center was discussed in December. Yeah, and we agreed through our attorney that we would have a public hearing in March. We're in February now.
You wrote it back in
No, we did
October.
not.
She actually signed the paperwork for it. I can pull it up off.
Did you?
I would
I
have
don't
it.
remember it, I October meeting.
It's in the minutes.
So,
It's in the minutes. I mean,
we
it's not
have
the
to,
minute.
it
People
takes,
signed it.
I tell you what, in 3 years I'm run against me, and then you can tell everybody how
That's not what I'm asking.
Yes, you
That's
are.
not what I'm saying. I'm saying
We're
you guys already had 4 months.
following the rules.
Put in a moratorium for a year so you can get a
We
right
haven't
to
even
be
had to brought that up. Okay? I'll bring it up, but I can guarantee you won't get enough votes for it. We try to slow moratorium. Did I tell you here's the next thing, after you get rid of this data center done, we're gonna have to go after solar again. And then after that one, you probably don't even know what carbon sequestering is, do you? Kosciuszko County's fighting that tooth and nail. They want to take all these big ethanol plants.
So why don't we know about this then, Steve?
Read the newspaper, that's where I find out about it.
What newspaper?
That's what we're working on.
This 4-page rag you're talking about newspaper?
I also subscribe to the Wall Street Journal online, Scripps News Agency, Reuters. They're all available.
Back to the paperwork that you're not acknowledging, was it there? It's in the minutes, and we back in October.
Yes, Mr. Keith.
So what would it take to set up, for an example, let's just say a moratorium for a year, so that in that year, we can the county can hire people to do research on data centers that
Correct.
are as close as possible to our community, and then we can create an airtight ordinance so that we can have so many checkpoints before somebody comes in and just rules.
Okay, 2 things there. One, we have to have the votes of the plan commission. I tried to solar moratorium. 8 to 1 was shot down.
When did that?
That's last year. That's why. So, 8 members voted against. So,
Is that an appointed position or is that an elected position?
they're appointed by different committees, and they were appointed one again this year. Now, as far as the other end of the moratorium, I'm all for it. You give us time to slow the process down. But, in the meanwhile, if the ground is annexed in, it now falls under the city rules, and they don't have a moratorium. Annexation is where the big issue lies right now. They can continue to annex in, we cannot stop them. I just read the code there, we cannot stop them. We are working on this as fast as we can. Okay? We only meet once a month, sometimes we have special meetings.
Right.
But it takes time to get that all done because there's several of us that have to look at the thing and stress it. Then once we approve it, then it comes to a public hearing where you all get on the stage. Okay, that's part of the process. So, yes, sir.
I take exception to the fact you say that the city does it, there's nothing the county can do about it. Where does all the water in the city go to?
Travis Ditch.
Goes into the county regulated drain. Who's in charge of the ditch?
I serve the South of Deacon Drainage Board. I serve on the Kankakee River Basin. I've been talking to Scott Peeler. We're watching that very closely.
So the county has control.
I did that, she gives the permit.
Yeah, the permits for that. So if they follow the rules,
Permitting is through IDEM.
yeah. So if they're following the rules, they can't stop them. Because drainage is regulated through the Drainage Board and IDM and DNR.
From the drainage board and I.
Yeah.
So the drainage board is controlled by the county.
The county. But we cannot oversee what DNR and the Army Corps and everybody else has said they can do. If they're allowed to discharge water into that, if you read the back of the newspaper, legal section, that's the first thing I go from to get the facts down there. Those are the facts in the back of the legal section. These businesses, when they do this processes, they apply to discharge stormwater and runoff into a regulated ditch. IDEM then gives them a permit. Just like at the Royal Road project up in Michigan City. You were there that day. IDEM was there for their air quality permit. They held a public hearing. IDEM took care of that for the air quality. IDEM also has a water division. IDEM also takes care of livestock manure. Quite frankly, I think they hate farmers, but that's just my opinion. They regulate those issues. Some issues have been taken away from us for a long time to regulate. Drainage is one of those. If they get their IDEM permit to discharge water runoff into the Travis Ditch then goes all the way down to the sewer treatment plant. That's where it starts, behind the sewer treatment plant. In the wetlands back there. It's filtered through the wetlands, into the ditch, that ditch goes all the way down the Kankakee River, I believe on 1200 South. So, it's a regulated ditch, yes, everyone pays assessment into it. But when you want to discharge water into that and runoff, that's an ideal permit. The state takes control of that. Yes.
But speaking of the permits, they had all the construction already started before that permit was even taking place. So how do we fix
So
that?
the loophole they had on that one with the air quality permit in Michigan City was the generators. The generators were not put in place yet. And as I spoke at that meeting, I felt the permit was already approved. I didn't just rubber stamp that and go with through.
Right.
Again, you have the state and federal government that wants these things. They're going to do everything they can to make sure they get what they want. We are trying to do this ordinance. And currently, right now, our ordinance takes care of warehouses. They classify these as warehouses, and the warehouse can only be M1 and M2 restricted. Yes.
Steve, we own part of Watercraft Station.
Okay.
Okay, down here, KOP.
Yep.
All right, we own the property, what's up to it. With your ordinances, why don't we put in a distance limitation? So because we own the homes down there, okay? We have to have a distance that these data centers have to be from a subdivision or a home. There has to be that in there.
That is in our new ordinance that we're proposing right now.
And what are you
It's only 200. I think that's not enough.
How much?
200.
No, it
I
needs
think
to be
it should
like
500.
It needs to be miles, because those are quarter
Wetlands,
acre
yes. Wetlands.
in wetlands, which we
Right
have.
now, currently on your ditch banks, you have a 75-foot easement that they can't do, that they can come in and.
I'm talking from the homes that are down.
The homes, that's part of the ordinance. If you want to, we can meet through the ordinance draft and then have a public hearing, you'll come and you can address it.
Absolutely, I'll be there.
Yeah, okay, it's probably be March meeting. Yes.
Okay.
I live 305 Pole Wall, right up there in LaPorte. And I just want to add to this, that I have a pending lawsuit right now with the county, with some other people. The ordinances that you guys have in place for noise needs to be looked at and revised very well, because there's just not a problem with noise with these data centers. There's a frequency with the fans. So like you just stated, these homes that are nearby there, we have this problem in our home going on right now. We have the fans going on a piece of equipment, a piece of cooling equipment, right in my backyard, 80 feet from my backyard. And there ain't nothing the county will do for me. Not one damn thing. I've had taken this before.
You said you live in the city?
No, I live in the county. I live right behind Critchfield School.
Okay.
Okay? I can't talk about it because it's a pending case going right now. But a review needs to be done on the noise. And something needs to be put in place for that to drive these people away from their properties in regards to just not a DBA. Okay? There's nothing in the county books even says anything about a DBA. Nobody will enforce it. You know what I got from the county on the noise? Was we don't enforce noise. Your personal attorney has to do that. So that's what forced me to do this. What I've had to do. Okay? So with these people, with these homes, it's just not a noise issue for a DBA. There's frequencies, fans, and it doesn't matter. This noise is traveling 4 blocks away. There's people 3 and 4 blocks away from me that is hearing noise. So, you know, when you guys sit and say, we got ordinances in place, we're gonna do that, well, let's make it a little stricter to keep these people away. We are. Okay? I just wanna make everybody clear about it. There's state regulations, county regulations, and then when I go to the county, the response I get is, we don't regulate noise. We don't monitor noise. We have no way of doing it. So, in fact, with this particular thing, think about that, guys, when these are going in your homes or anywhere close to homes. Because, I mean, it's just, in the long run, it's just going to be a big problem again.
The noise decibels we're proposing in the ordinance are 55 decibels. That's the sound of the refrigerator.
Okay, but
that's standard across most
it needs to have frequencies involved in it. You need to get a sound specialist in there, because that's the problem I have in my
I
home.
believe we've got one in there for that before and after.
Good. Did you guys get involved, a sound specialist to review the frequencies that those produce?
I don't have the orders in front of me right now.
But please do, so that this fight's not up against the next person.
We've got that in there.
He's talking about inaudible frequencies.
Yes.
Yes. These are the things that you feel.
Yes.
And you hear in your head, but you don't hear them with your ears.
Correct.
Okay?
And
And
they
those
go
things,
crazy.
and this is what I mentioned earlier, subharmonic frequencies.
Yes.
They create, and I guarantee you, if you live under that stuff, you will go absolutely insane.
That's personally what I have
There's
done.
nothing you will do, nothing that you will do to get rid of it.
Right in our county, right now.
I can tell you from a federal perspective on something similar to that. Back in the late 70s, early 80s, it was straight voltage affecting dairy livestock. It went on for years. Farmers were documenting they had cattle that would not drink because of straight voltage. They had cattle they proved were losing production. They were aborting calves because of this. It got shot down to the federal court, says, no, we don't believe any of that. So again, it also goes on to precedent, but we have the solid whatever, frequencies or whatever in part of that ordinance. Yeah. Hang on, I see you back there. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Krishna. I am in the city limits, and I have been in tune to this for just a little bit. And I'm curious to know what the county's collaboration looks like with the city. And I'm not talking about your membership of, I'm really asking about the collaborative efforts, because I'm hearing it's the city, oh, that's the city, and this is the county. But I'm not seeing much collaboration, nor am I seeing collaboration with downstate or with other areas.
I'm
So I'm curious, what is the
also
strategy?
once a month, we have the LEAP, the LaPorte Economic Advancement Partnership. I serve on that board with them. Matt and I talked with the mayor and we're cooked. We're negotiating something, but we want them to tell us exactly what's going on. They won't tell us much of anything. So,
That's kind of a problem. Do you guys?
but they don't have to, they do not have to tell us anything. Does Washington tell you everything? Does the state tell you? Again, I serve on the North Summit board. I go to the State House every year. I'll probably go 3 or 4 times this year. So, send your email, let them know what you're looking for. Call them. So, again, there is nothing being conspired here as secrecy like everybody tells you on Facebook.
Exactly.
We're telling, that's why we're having this meeting, to dispel the
Collaboration, it's more positive, it's open, and I'm just not hearing a lot of collaboration.
Please, folks, people have a hard time hearing. 55 decibels, according to,
What distance though, from, what's the distance? Like
it would be
55
at,
decibels?
if it's 200 feet, if that's the ordinance that says you got to get out building 200 feet closer, then it's 200 feet from that. And then when we take care of, I think 200 feet is too close. I want 500, I think 1,000. Well, they've already gone against me. But 55 decibels is the approximate sound of the refrigerator. Well, I got refrigerators in your house. What can we do to keep up on code enforcement? We do not have county code enforcement. Okay, no. Let me advise you on that. I'm against code enforcement. We already have code enforcement. It's like a junkyard. Yeah, we also, the sheriff's department is to enforce that. If they don't enforce it, trust me, I get complaints about them all the time, and I call them. And the building commissioner's also that. We don't enforce the rules we have. If you go to a code enforcement like you have in the state of LaPorte, you're gonna have another department. You're gonna have like 3 vehicles, you're gonna have 3 more employees, a secretary, and an office space. That's no tax right there. Yes, Judge.
Why does it seem just not active in November?
The city map is expansion plan.
Yep. So they're
As they're doing it, it puts like a Microsoft like 1,000 feet off my property. As they're selling it, comes up to Boyd Boulevard. Currently, everybody's sold out. Mr. Beer, thank you for not selling out.
thanks Big B Coffee for bringing that.
But it's like, people that are coming up, now they're working on 250 South, coming up 150 West, or 150 East. Now they put painter's tape over their logos, DOT numbers and shit. I'm sorry for cussing. I love the cuss. Trust me, I bite my tongue in meetings most days. But it's like, yes.
Some people here have seen that bald eagle over at the Chicken South, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, the take away that guy's home. That's how you go. Yesterday, there was
100 ducks?
who was with me? I don't know who was with me. He was. There's 100 ducks out there. It's a swamp land. The old farmhouse is at the border down the down the office. It's like, what the hell's going on here? What the hell's going on here? Now they're coming up. So they're on the property line of Mr. Carlson's place. They're tracking that down. And that guy, the other guy down some sold. And it's, I mean, it's not annexing the city yet. We all know the money. We all know the gas. I love the customer. I have no problem. But we all know it's going to be an accident. But there's nothing we can do about it. We didn't even vote for this guy to take our property away. That encroach on my lifestyle away. I love blowing up cars on East. That's like one of our biggest things, blowing up cars.
I've got a copy. Right away, someone sent me a copy of the purchase agreement for the Crescent.
Here's the option set in that in there. They are putting a $50,000 check into an escrow account. They would give the homeowner $750,000 for their house. That was on the 250 South. Upon sale of completion of zoning change, county's not going to change the zoning for that. So what's going to happen is they're going to annex that city. Now, no one wants to talk about this. I don't know if they decided that they're scared they might lose their money or whatever. But I can hear these rumors that they already have totally a annexation. I can't confirm that or deny that. I don't know. I've been telling everybody when they come to my office or call me up, what do I do? What do I do? Get yourself a lawyer. And remember one thing. Their first offer is not the best offer. And again, if you have no choice, if you know the city is going to annex this ground in, one way or another, it's going to happen. And you've got a mayor up there right now, and folks, I don't know if you're aware of this, but he's going to run for a third term. He gets 3 terms now.
Can I vote for that guy? I can't even
If you're in the city, if you're in the city limits, you can. My belief is this. Tom and I go back to grade school, we little kids. My belief is this. We butt heads, but we talk and we get along. My belief is that he wants all of this because he's promised things to his people in the city, and I don't think the city's got no money. So this is why. So in reality, what's happening here is they're pitting neighbors against neighbors for greed. My personal opinion. Because again, if you've got someone that doesn't want to live, you pay $50,000. Most of those houses on 250 South. When I was a kid, I farmed for the guy that farmed my ground. Those houses weren't there. So those houses have all happened within the last 30 years, 35 years. So they were not expensive homes to put in. So now all of a sudden, if you're $50,000 home, they're going to give you $750, or if you make them give you more, it's pretty enticing. And what happens then, this has been going on in certain areas with the solar company, and I can go back to solar, so I've done a lot of research on solar around different parts of the state. What happens is one person sells, and everybody else is against it. And all of a sudden, well, I have no choice. I might as well take a check and run. And I think that's what they're pitting each other against. Like I said, I know Eddie, you told them go to hell, basically. Kudos.
Yeah, thanks, Eddie.
Now, there's also something else. This bill did not get passed, but this is something that's probably going to come up again next year. Eminent domain for power lines. Because they know they need to improve the grid, and the grid requires more power lines. They couldn't use eminent domain because that bill did not pass. But I can guarantee you next year will be passed. January, the first week in January, last week in December, IGA.in.gov. I memorized that website, folks. It gives you a wealth of information what's going on.
What was that again?
IGA.in.gov. That's the Indiana Governors Association.
General Assembly.
General Assembly, yes, General Assembly. They will have the bill start listing. Senators are allowed to have as many bills as they want. Representatives are limited. I can't remember. I think it's 5. Yeah, I knew it was 5 or 6. They're limited. But those bills will start being posted as to what they read. Also, one other thing that I've learned over the years, that initial bill is not usually what comes out of committee or anything else. They start amending it. And like I said, 1002, which is going to help you with your municipal bills, all 20 amendments got shot down. I argued with our senator down there, Mr. Blahatch. I didn't argue, but I discussed it with him. They gave unlimited 40-year tax breaks to data center companies for sales tax, for purchases. They tried to get an amendment to give you people a sales tax break on your utility bills. It got shot down in the House, 61 to 38 or something like that. I asked him, why won't you give the homeowners a break on your sales tax? It was too much money, $740 million nobody gave me. I said, but it's too much to give up for the homeowners, but you're willing to give it up for 40 years to these companies who basically print money. They're like the federal government, they just keep printing. So again, you've got to talk to your state reps and state senators and tell them what you want. And again, as Mr. Metcalf said, I'll get you secretary. If you don't like what you see down there, vote for someone different. And I'll tell you another thing here, something that's always griped me. There was a bill down there, 2 bills, to eliminate straight ticket voting. Stop doing that. You can do the entire ballot, person by person by person, in about 5 minutes. Learn, talk to you, go to the town hall. I've had 3 town halls so far. We had illegal women voters the other day. We'll have debates. I host these meetings. I'm easily accessible. Ask questions, come visit me. Yes, Gary?
Back to the point you just mentioned, if you don't like what's happening on the state level, vote them out. Vote them.
Yep.
3 cycles, they can all be gone, and we wouldn't have to do this for you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this gentleman over here, talking about the noise ordinance. I think you ought to read about what's happening in Virginia, like Christine brought it up at the last meeting, and read about what the people are going through about the noise. They say it's like living next to a lawnmower 24 hours a day. And I don't know if you got the website on it, but it's that, what was it called, Christine? It's in Virginia?
Well, it's
Loudoun County.
There's
Yeah.
200, over 200.
117 more, that's what I saw earlier.
About the noise.
On that site that I gave earlier, Loudon, Ashburn, or whatever, there is a white paper that Mr. Turner put together explaining all the issues they're having and how they're addressing them. Because when they started this process, no one knew what was going to happen. It's all brand new. No one knew what was going to happen. They are now looking at all these issues and they're changing their ordinances to protect the people. Yes.
Okay, so we talk about like the city limits, the county limits, but we in LaPorte County, this is like the 4th data center. And so like there's this cumulative effect on all of our natural resources, water, electricity. What is being done to say you can't have X amount of data centers in our county, even if you're in the city limits, because we don't have enough natural resources to actually cover these data centers. It's just cumulative effect. So like are the commissioners of these counties, and you talked about the state and how every county is being hit by this. We're being hit by this with tons of them. We have so many just in Northwest Indiana already, right? And it's not stopping. What's going to stop these people? They have the money and they know they have the control. But that's not true because we have the control, right?
Yeah.
So what can the commissioners do with the other commissioners in the states? Can you work together to stop or at least put a limit on the total number, because they are cumulatively affecting our communities?
We're members, Joe, Connie, and I are all members of the Indiana Association of County Commissioners. Joe's our secretary for our territory up there, the district, the northwest corner. We have meetings every down there. Tyler Warman's in charge of that. He's a great guy. He communicates over the question. As far as limiting them, I can tell you what our lawyer told us about. We tried to limit them, the total number. There's 245,000 acres of farm ground approximately in LaPorte County. We want to put a 1% restriction on solar, only 24 acres. He basically told the planning commission, they'll sue you, go to court, these, boom, they're gonna go. Because they got the tax dollars from the federal government to do it. So that's a very touchy subject. We can look at that, but again, everyone is always so scared about being sued. For LaPorte County, for some reason, what I've seen here 14 months, we're a magnet for lawsuits. It's like, like I said, the kid at the grocery store line. He doesn't get his way, boom, I'm gonna learn, I'm suing. So, yes.
So,
like handful of counties in the state that have done a moratorium, I don't recall.
Marshall County's got one, I think,
I think there was just a couple.
There's 5.
Okay, have any of those counties been sued by anybody, or has anybody approached them to want to build a data center in it?
They're preparing for lawsuits, I can tell you.
Okay, so-
I talked to them.
So why can't the county just be as prepared as possible and actually, if a lawsuit comes, then it happens? Like, why
Well, that's why I believe.
why are we afraid of the law? Because if we put in strict rules, I've also heard that they're not gonna waste their time trying to fight somebody over a year to build. They're just gonna go somewhere else, because there's tons of other counties, municipalities that will take that.
Spencer County, they, by state statute, cities actually have a right to intercede so far outside their boundaries to what goes on for zoning and everything else. Spencerville included a solar project on the outskirts of their town. Spencer County told them, no, we don't want it. They don't want it. I talked to the commissioner down there last year at the ACC. We don't want it. They said, tough. The solar companies took a lawsuit. They spent money to the point where Monroe or Madison, Spencer County was out of money. They were on the verge of bankruptcy because they fought this lawsuit so long. They won because they've got more money. Now those people in those communities are paying higher taxes to cover those lawsuit bills. And again, they got their way anyway. So I agree. I'm prepared to go to school. Let's go out behind the playground equipment and beat the hell out of them. So my next stand. And I guarantee you, the kids that I see come to my office to propose solar and all these other projects, they ain't getting very far. Most of these kids that are coming to us now are in their 20s. They're fresh out of college. This is probably the first job they've ever had. They're just doing what they're told to do. And they continue to come here, and we've got lawyers that keep coming too. Yes, sir.
Quick question. So everyone came in here and you put your name down on that thing there? Now, you could say, go to here, go to there, go to there, go to there, and do all these different things, and we don't know time frame. We don't want this. So can you take that information there, have somebody make sure that we all know how exactly we need to do this step by step to keep this data center from happening? Other than just saying, you know, write down this thing, talk to Mr. Pretzel, do this, do that. No one's gonna do that.
You got to listen to the mayor.
No one's gonna do that. Yeah, that's your right.
The people who were for the first meeting, you're on an email list, correct?
Yes.
See?
Okay.
So what I'm going to do Monday, it might take me probably 2 or 3 days to do it.
Sorry, but thank you.
No, but yeah, I will add those new names to that email list.
Thank you.
And you will be included in any future meetings. LaPorte County Government website. Our plan commission agenda is up there. The new ordinance, the draft ordinance is on there, what it is. Come to the meeting, listen, and after we address the issue, the public will be allowed to speak the next meeting to say, we want this changed, we want this done, everything else. I'm a firm believer, they call it a quasi-judicial board of some sort. I think that's bullshit, in my opinion.
Right.
We're here for you guys, whether we're elected or appointed.
And then just include in the email what we need as far as, and how do we talk about an ordinance? Because if 100 people get up there and talk about, we want an ordinance period, it's a lot easier to get the message through than to say, one person says that, one person says this, one person says that. So,
I'll try and get that done this weekend. Yes, sir.
Along those lines, can the county turn around and do an online page that tells everybody in the county all the information he's talking about and a lot of what you discussed today?
It'll be on that, it'll be on the website.
And also get the other county departments to do the same thing.
They all do that.
No, but
What?
with your,
I'm losing
with the commissioners, on the commissioner's page. All right, so you go to the commissioner's page and you can scroll through and look at all the different departments, all in one place.
Oh,
You
yes.
don't have to screw around.
There is. Our county website has all the departments listed. They'll have the BZA agenda, commission's
And
agenda.
do they
council.
list what is currently being done?
Yes. Our current ordinance, the draft ordinance is on our county website. It'll scroll across the top and you click on it. It'll say draft data center ordinance. We have draft for solar ordinance. It's on there. I agree with you, the county website page is not the easiest to.
Because that
function.
would be, also be another way of making sure that everybody knows, and you get a turnout like this at every meeting.
LaPorte County
Because then
government
people
website.
know what's going on.
Okay, yes, it's on there, but here's another flip side of that one. You're using data center for that because that's all stored somewhere. So, that's the double-edged sword here. So, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I know at the last meeting here, and what Steve was talking about, I wanted to go to that again.
Okay.
There is a video that you can watch on YouTube, and it's called Exposing the Dark Side of America's AI Data Center Explosion. So,
Is that by
that's the one we were talking about, Steve. Business Insider. Steve did that one. And, you know, yeah, well, Steve, we appreciate you sending us all the Loudoun County stuff.
Yep.
But that has more of a positive kind of spin, and this is showing all the toxicity and all the detrimental effects on human life and animals and the environment and all of it. So, just wanted to say that.
The ordinance that Lake County made is, and I'm Pete Long, by the way. The ordinance that Lake County made is basically a bunch of hurdles. We need an impact study on wastewater. We need an impact study on wildlife. We need an impact study on all this. And we need an impact study on all this stuff in order to even get consideration, right? And what that does is slows the process down and puts it in full public view. And that's what we need, is that ordinance to be able to do that.
Use Lake County for that.
And I know you don't want to get political, but by slowing this down, it gives the voters here a chance to make a determination on those calling the shots on this, whether they want to keep them or reject them, and that's how democracy works.
Then you want to, what you're trying to do is we are going to have the ordinance on our planning commission the board's going to discuss it. Then you people will know what we're discussing, what we're looking at, what we want to see changes made, not changes, everything else. Then in the March meeting, if we get to a come to the consensus, Tuesday's meeting, in March, our planning commission meeting will have a public hearing where everyone will be allowed to speak. Now I'm just guessing here. It's probably going to be, we're going to have a hold up in one meeting. Just because we can't get this many people here for one meeting, especially if we have other issues to deal with. But we're more than willing to do that. And we may even have to have a bigger room.
Just move the partition.
So, well, and I've seen meetings where the partition's not big enough either. So, do we have anything else? Yes, sir.
Where do Elon Musk puts all this stuff in space next year, or even this year? I mean, it's like
My aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. We don't know if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. We don't know what he's going to do. We don't know what he's going to do. Again, look at the last one, know what's happening. It's just like some of the things now happening at the water summit. It's with the cooling for these data centers. The thing being discussed now is either submersing them in the oceans or submersing server racks or whatever. They immerse them in a gel-like substance that keeps them cool, so they don't use water. And another issue that what I've been hearing about on the meetings I go to the State House, part also of the reason they like the Midwest area here is part of the year they have natural cooling. When it's below zero, they don't rely on cooling as much more than they use much water. So, but those, again, folks, we're listening to you. We're all upfront about everything. Yes, Gary?
One of the things you just, I don't know about water. Has anybody considered what's going to happen when an AI goes in at KIP? Is there a way to stop them from pumping? I mean, there's going to be wastewater no matter what. It's got to go somewhere. Can we stop them from pumping on their own property down below, like?
Yes, stop. Yes, the wastewater well, they'll have to go get a BDA for that. So, just like we did out there. Now, at the state level, I believe our ordinance has gotten into the water test. I believe, correct? For discharge. So, at the state, they turned that down again. They would require them to test their water and discharge out
And even a closed loop system will require regeneration from time to time. Basically because evaporation is gonna happen, because you're heat and water.
They're gonna leak. They're gonna leak. I've never seen it.
Well,
Close loop
everything,
system, it's not
we got buildings leaking from that HVAC guys from Stelly.
PFA's in the air.
Steve, when we talked before, I asked you about road access in and out of KIP, and you mentioned that you didn't have control over that.
Correct, right, roads are private right now.
So, in reading what we just seen from the city of LaPorte, we're going to truck water in and truck water out. I don't see that being able to happen from a county level on the roads out of KIP.
We don't have, we're not putting one penny into those roads until we get control of the roads.
Exactly.
Through either easement agreements, or they turn them over to us. Legally, we cannot pay those roads because we don't have control of them. And the easement access is based on what you have in your county road system now. Your property line goes to center of that road.
So that's the whole key to that.
So
So effectively, that will keep data centers from being built in KIP if the owners right now put themselves together and say, we're not going to pay the meter.
I can tell you right now, what's gonna happen there, and it's already been discussed, landowners don't care because the amount of money that they're being offered, they'll sell those easements, and what happens then is the private investors, your Amazon, your data centers, whatever, what have not, they will pay those roads. So we have a company out there that's gonna pay 5 line right now.
Except when they leave and destroy, right?
Well,
We take it on as a
that's
taxpayer.
why, again, road use agreements. We have road use agreements for solar. When they come in, when they come out, the roads must be maintained the exact same way as they started. I don't believe they're tough enough yet here this county.
So, do you know how wide environmental impact is?
I'm sure there's studies out there somewhere.
We're trying to make decisions with how far away you're gonna put the building impact.
The DNR, I'm sure has something, because I spoke with the DNR State House last month. We're looking for some extra ground material for development potential in the future. That's all we're doing it for. We're also looking for the possibility of access to the south to stop, to give 2 access points. There's 35 to 6, we want to 6 to 35 to stop. The Department of Defense is home to the military base out there, they said, find out no. So we're talking to the DNR. They're willing to work with us to get us more access to ground there. We've got 2 Class 1 railroads out there. There are people working for LaPorte County, not just data centers, but for other projects. But there's also concern if there's enough flow ability for traffic in out there. The data center over there south end, I believe that's, I don't know how many lanes in our project there on Larson Road. There's a new interchange going in there because there's no way to get any done in out.
The accidents, because I live in South Bend.
Yep.
The accidents that happen out there because of those data centers, I mean, people are, it's left and right.
Oh, yeah.
And then they blow through their, speed limit out on their, 60? They're rolling through there at 70 in a tractor trailer.
The police can't stay enough time out there.
They live out there and
Yeah.
they still don't get it.
And part of that issue, not to defend them either way, that's during the construction phase.
It doesn't matter. It's still.
The highway's always been bad. I used to travel when I worked in South.
Well, when you got Heinz you can go out there, whatever.
It's a bad stretch there.
Yeah.
20's being some infrastructure upgrades up there. There's also talk now, I went to a meeting in New Carlisle, it's called the Stillwell Elderberry line. I cannot get straight answer what they're doing. They're coming off of the substation there in New Carlisle on 20, because part of that is connected to the new gen station there that went in on the off-road wall like 8-10 years ago, I believe. They're taking that tower line, they're coming from New Carlisle all the way down to the substation of Stillwell. Now, some questions that I had for them down there that didn't make any sense to me, I couldn't get them. Again, you're dealing with young kids. I asked them, why are you leaving AEP's territory, going to NIPSCO, and why is REMC involved in this? I did talk to the state, I said it did happen. REMC now is part owner of that Walnut Road substation, or the generating station. But I could not get an answer out of them when I questioned them. You're coming from AEP, the NIPSCO substation there in Stillwell, which is built approximately 75 or 6.
That's also exactly where they want to put next to it a battery storage plant on the city farm.
Right.
And the innovative solar carpetbaggers, their project is going to wind up at that exact same place. I can't even answer why. No one wants to tell us what the future product plans are for that. Yes, I'll give you a second.
Okay, so can we talk about SB 277, which is the IDEM deregulation bill? And go into all of the things that IDEM is not going to be doing going forward if this passes. It has not passed yet. Our House representatives are still going to vote on it this week. And we need to get on the phone and call our House representatives and tell them no to SB 277.
It came out of committee. It's going to the House vote this week.
Yeah.
So,
House representatives, tell them to vote no.
yes, sir.
So a lot of problems, people are having to call and things like that, whatever, but, so let's say this annexation, this is, once they get an annexation, then we got no control, is basically what he said earlier, then they're already 1 foot in the door. So, you think that, I'm just saying, I'm not saying they're gonna put it right here on 35, they would, because they wouldn't like to pay for the roads, but, if they annex just a certain area, right, just to supply them, and anyone that comes across through there, what about the thousands of homes that are around there and south of there where the aquifers actually drain? What about those areas and their wells? They're not part of the annexation. Look at the people in New Carlisle. The wells are contaminated, they have no pressure, they're drilling new wells, the homeowner is eating the cost. So a part of the zoning process and part of all these ordinances need to include all the surrounding people in a much larger area, not just where they want to put these guys.
That's part of the study. That's part of the study. Is for a water agreement that says within so many feet, if there's an issue with your water, that they'll have to take the cost on it.
It should be miles.
Now, with the process they're having over there, I spoke with the engineer at St. Joe County. What's happening over there now, most of the wells that are having problems and issues were 50 and 60-year-old wells that were 35 to 40 foot deep. This is happening during the dewatering process. From what I was told, Amazon stepped in and purchased a new well for everybody at their expense. So there, again, this same issue happened.
Our well's 30 feet deep.
Yeah, that's normal around here in the flat.
That's normal, right? And so you're talking about runoff with PFAs, all these different contaminants. It's going to get into that shallow well before we'll get that deep.
We'd like to see something there for water testing, for homeowners, a third-party water testing at their expense, not the homeowners, but the other company. Back in the 70s, along I-65 over there now, Prudential Life Insurance Company purchased thousands and thousands of acres of farmland, put up irrigation wells. Next thing that happened, boom, everybody's wells around that surrounding area went dry. Prudential no longer has that. That's where Farrell's Farms and Boss Farms are at now, the dairy farms.
And mine comes from Lake Erie, the smallest lake, and I'm right here. It does not come from Lake Michigan. Most of your wells out here come from Lake Erie. When I bought my property here, I had a $5,000 test done by someone from the EPA. That was a cousin that was studying Fisher Halo. And that's where most of your well water actually comes out, is Lake Erie from here.
That's the first I heard of that one.
Yes.
Okay, we got a few more minutes left. Any more quick questions?
As they cross over 50 south, which they have, and they cross over 300 south, is the county giving up those roads or those?
Yep. Oh, I can guarantee you that. I'm trying to work on a deal since the city and the county budget together at 250. Maybe we should have plowed away. The city got to do it.
But they've already,
it's going. It's a matter of time. And all they're doing right now is purchasing the ground. So, yes, sir.
One question I got in regards to that, okay, say this gets annexed, they allow something to go in, adjoining properties on the county from the city, what's gonna take place? Who's gonna enforce that? Noise, problems like that, where you have adjoining property?
If you're in the city, that's a city ordinance you follow. If you were across the street in the county, the county.
So the
That's
county's
the
gonna
issue
stick up
with
for the homeowner?
This is there's already issues around the county like they have that already, the Michigan State LaPorte. I'm dealing with some people up there, Sharmar Hills now, who on 300 north. The golf course now have a subdivision back there. All of a sudden now, they're 10 feet. So we're watching them very closely. Mike Cole, the building commissioner's watching because they're gonna have road permits and driveway access from this subdivision going on the 100 west, I
Because you're gonna get this later on when there is a problem. That needs to
You
stop.
have to, okay, here's how code enforcement is handled. It's the sheriff's department's job to do the jump.
They don't do shit because I was county.
Okay, then I can't force the sheriff to do
So
anything.
everybody just knows, county sheriff's department's not gonna know. Because I personally there. They don't enforce nothing.
Yes, sir.
Why doesn't the county have a code enforcement officer?
Again, you want to spend okay, you moved out to the county to get away from the town's rules, correct? Do you want to be told your grass is too tall? Yeah, this was several years ago. The person I replaced, Rich Resist, we tried that. What happened there was, they were going to go after people shooting guns in the county.
You've got to be realistic.
Well, that's what it turned out to be. That room was packed. I was there that night. There was probably 250 people in that room standing room only. It shot down. Overwhelmingly, the people in the county do not want code enforcement. And again, that is another thing. We have rules on the book that need to be enforced before we start adding new rules. You have a question, ma'am?
What about making part of the ordinance where it doesn't read past a separate code enforcement?
That's a legal question. I'm not so sure.
All utilities, people in that town.
I don't know how they're regulated.
What I'm saying, why can't we set up at least that if someone's gonna put up something on surface power, they have to.
Okay.
If within so many square feet of my house, 80 miles.
Some of these data centers are bringing down their own power source, which means if they come through any kind of industry, they're going to bring the 10 gigabit to, I know that, how that stuff works. They provide their own power source to provide power for themselves at their cost. But I don't believe we can ordinance that. I think that would be state statute. But that has been talked about here. The thing right now the state's coming up with now, and I'm going to throw the word out here, small modular reactors for nuclear. Those right now are probably the cleanest, most efficient, and the cheapest source of power right now. I have a brother who retired on the Navy, and I asked him about those because basically what it is the same thing as on aircraft carrier submarines. We've been sleeping next to them for 60 years, never had an issue. So, power grids are changing. I myself believe renewables are a joke. It's a lot of destructive, they destroy the ground, and what you get out of them is irrelevant. But something is changing now.
A whole lot better than a data center, though, right?
Well,
Yeah.
we got to be able to have that, and again, where do you want to store all the data too? Because anybody who pays their bills online, you get a phone number, you touch this button, touch that button, you're using AI.
But they don't have an option. It's already got it. It's already working.
It's getting more and more every single
Force
day.
AI on us.
Every single day.
Wanted it.
Yeah.
Let's face it, it's for gaming, it's for video games, it's for Xbox, Microsoft games.
Okay, we're about 10:58. Do we have any more quick, one more quick question, John?
You just mentioned about those nuclear pods.
Yep.
What I read, county, the road system can't handle the weight of even bringing one in. So is that tied into something that the county can do from a rail perspective?
Possibly, with the rail, you're lifting by width. And that's where the road industry comes in. If these companies come in here, they want to use our roads, they will take a picture, how we're doing those corridors right now, they're working. A third party comes in, right before construction. They have a route. They're only allowed to use one route, in and out, for construction. They survey the roads. After the construction, the roads are put back 100% like they were. And the decommissioning project has the exact same thing. So those can also be tied into something like this happens. So, folks, we're at 11 o'clock. Thank you for coming.